please tell us about the concept?
Wait. You have to wait for the director to say action.
Director.
3, 2, 1, action.
Can you please tell us about the concept behind the Oliva solo project in which you play most of the instruments? And Dan, we definitely need your input here.
Even though it's really irrelevant, but we're going to use it anyway. Actually, what happened with that was when Matt passed away, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do as far as the JOP thing went. You know, it was like, what do I do? What do I do? And I had a lot of early time during the day, and I was working with TSO at night, so I couldn't get together with Chris Kinder, which was usually where I would go. So I was coming down here, and he was like, well, you know, I got this bit of song from this, and I was like, well, I got this bit of song, and then it just happened really weird. We started putting stuff together, and I was like, I really like this because it doesn't sound like JOP, doesn't sound like Sabotage, doesn't sound like TSO, Trans-Siberian. It's different, so let's just keep going. We wrote like 60 songs. And, you know, then it came up time to do the Mountain King tour, you know, where I was like, I wasn't sure what to do as far as the band goes, but then, you know, we got Jason in there to play bass, and Jerry and Joe Diaz and Chris Kinder and myself, and it worked really well. I started to feel comfortable with it, and I was like, well, I want to bridge the gap here, so I worked all this stuff out with Dan, who wrote some wonderful, he wrote half the album with me, so it's brilliant stuff. It's different, though. It doesn't say, people, when they hear it, they're going to go like, wow. When they hear my voice, they'll know, oh, that's Jon, but musically it's very different. It's very diverse. There's a lot of different vibes on it. And it's good because I want to take my time. The next JOP record I'm planning to do is a double album where I have a lot of guests that will remain nameless, but they're all famous. And I've spoken to them about coming and doing some tracks with me, you know, guest starring on certain things. So that's what I want to do, but it's a project that's going to take a lot of time, and I haven't put a record out since, you know, festival, which is a while now. And I was like, well, this is good. I want to play. I've been, you know, playing a lot of guitar, and I enjoy it. And this record's very different when you hear it. There's no heavy metal shredding guitars because I'm not good enough to play that. But it's all feel and very moody, and with his help, I couldn't have done it without this guy, so I'll give him his kudos now, and then we'll never talk to him again. But it's a great record. I think people are going to really enjoy it, and it's the last music that I have from Chris, my brother, who's passed away. Of all, you know, every JOP record has had Chris Oliva music with it that I've found on old tapes that I've, you know, worked into songs. Well, this is the last of it that's on this record. I think Chris co-wrote, we have music of his on. I'm looking at the list right here. Like 3 or 4 songs have little riffs of Chris's, and they're the last of, you know, the Chris Oliva lost riffs. So this record's special alone just because of that, because I made a commitment that I would get all his music out, you know, before I'm pushing up tulips. I want to make sure that all the stuff that I worked on with him is out, and all the stuff that I worked on with Dan is out, plus all the JOP stuff that, you know, that I have for the future. I just want to do as much as I can while I'm still here.
Okay.
You're all invited to my funeral. It'll be a happy occasion, I promise you.
I even have a song for mine.
See that? Talk about thinking ahead. Well, he does have a couple years on.
When I'm gone.
Yeah. When I'm gone. That's
When
great.
I'm gone. When I'm gone.
See that? What else do we got?
Okay. Can you give us some insight into the guitars, basses, amps, and assorted gear that you and Dan recorded?
Well, Dan on keyboards, we use, as you can see here, a plethora of keyboards. Korgs, Yamahas, Alesis, I don't even know what that one's called up there.
Another Korg.
Another Korg, okay, it's called another Korg. Guitar-wise, though, is very special. I use the Beatles guitars. If you see right here, Dan, can you hold up the...
Yeah, absolutely.
As you can see right here, all the bass guitar has been played on a exact duplicate of Paul McCartney's 1964 Hofner bass with all the original pickups and the toggle switches. You can put that down now. I also have, but it's not here right now, the John Lennon Epiphone Casino that he played on Revolution. And my Telecaster back there, which is in the case, is the exact duplicate of what George Harrison used on Abbey Road and Let It Be. And the reason I chose those was just because the sound of them, without gimmicks or a bunch of effects and stuff, they just sound great. They're great sounding instruments. Just plug them in, and then everything else is icing on the cake. So I decided to use those for this record because, like I said, this record's got a lot of moods. Just got really heavy, dark, heavy metal stuff. Probably as heavy as anything I've ever done. But it's also got stuff that will throw a little curve at you. It's like, wow, is that something? Yeah, it's something, But it's just different. It's hard to explain, isn't it?
Yeah,
Help me out here, man. I'm trying.
Very much so. Very much so.
See that? He's a nice guy.
Very much so.
Yeah. So I'm very excited for people to hear it. I think especially the UK fans. When I did those festivals in the UK and I got to talk to a lot of them, they were like, yeah, the different vibes and stuff. They picked a lot of the stuff out on the JOP records, the songs that I did on those that were different. And I think this is a very UK friendly record. How's that?
Excellent.
So buy it, please.
Are there any musicians in the Tampa Bay area that you'd recommend listening to?
Well, as far as singers go, the best singer I've heard in the Tampa Bay area actually works for me with Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and her name is Chloe Lowry, and she's just got a voice that's a gift from God. That's the girl the other night who sang
Yeah, awesome.
"Sake of My
Awesome.
Brother."
Yeah.
She got the other night at the Trans-Siberian Orchestra concert, she did the one thing that's her and a piano solo, and 15,000 people stood up and gave her a standing ovation for like over a minute.
Yes. Yes.
She's just an incredible talent. There's so many great musicians from around here. I mean, bass guitar. I mean, Jason Jennings, who I met back in the 80s, is by far, in my opinion, the best bass player in this area. But no one even comes close because he can play anything. I mean, there's lots of great bass players around here that can play, Deicide or Obituary. No offense, I love you guys. I even saw you guys in the grocery store the other day. They're all good friends. But Jason can play anything. He can play the blues. He can play funk. He can play heavy metal. So there's only a few guys that can do that in this area. He's one of them. I don't know what he plays. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Me neither.
But there's so many great. I mean, the guys from Camelot who live around here, and the guys from Obituary, Trevor and them guys, and Chuck from Deicide. They're all great musicians for what they do. This area is very blessed for having a lot of guys down here who have a lot of talent, and I think we all stay here because it's cheap to live. It's true.
We're going to go straight to the director's question.
Oh, I
now.
love this.
Okay, just when you thought you were safe. Since I had the honor of touring with you and the JLP gang on the Hall of the Mountain King tour, John, should I be waiting for that magic phone call regarding Gutter Ballet in 2014?
You mean me calling you for more work?
Yeah,
Oh,
that
you're
would be the
fucking
one.
crazy. No, of course. Well, of course. Did you hear what I just said about you?
Well, I'm flattered by
I
that.
practically put a cape on you.
I
with
know,
a
but
bunch
still,
of ears.
I just want to be sure that I heard that right.
Jason, if I go out and do that, you are definitely going to be playing bass.
Right on. Well, Mom, I want you to hear that too, so you're getting a copy of this.
Yeah, Mom.
Awesome.
He's going to do it. He has no choice. He's,
Rent to pay.
that I love Jason. I've known him for years. So, yeah. I mean, I was very happy with the Mountain King thing, and he really came to the party. Actually, of all the people in the band, he knew the songs better than any of us, including me. I was like, wow, yeah, that is how it goes. Yeah, man, it's all right.
Fantastic. Okay, obviously fans of Savatage have JOP and TSO to feed their appetites. However, there are still those diehards baying for a Savatage reunion. Do you get tired of responding to the same question?
Well, I answered that question over the last 2 days about 23,000 times. So that's everybody asked me that. And you know what? A couple years ago, I was like, nah, because just the TSO thing, we're all involved with TSO. And it's like a snowball rolling down the mountain. and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and it's providing a living for everybody, including me, thank God. And it's like, but we have talked about it, and I wouldn't like say it's never going to happen, but I would say that if we don't figure it out here in the next 2-3 years, it's probably never going to happen. But it has been discussed, and it hasn't been completely ruled out. It's just we don't know how. We don't want to go out and do it cheap, and just go up there and like, if we're going to go out and do that, and Paul O'Neill, who's very involved with Sabotage, obviously, we've agreed. It's like if we can't go out and do it like we do TSO, and have it go out big and in style, then we're not going to do it. Wouldn't cheapen it by just slapping something together and us rehearsing for 2 weeks and going over there and making a bunch of money, but people going like, well, it really wasn't that good. And if I'm going to do it, people are going to be like, holy shit, or else it's not worth doing it, but none of us have ruled it out. We're being logical, and we've got something with Trans-Siberian Orchestra that is so big, and it's growing, and there's a lot of different things happening and interests from movie companies and things like that it's like, to just like put a monkey wrench in the spokes of that to do 5 Sabotage shows, isn't very sensible business-wise. And that's really it. It's like, hey, we're too old to go work at McDonald's or dig ditches. If this whole thing falls apart, we're pretty much, in trouble. So, and it's not that it's just about the money, but we all have families now, and I have responsibilities, and I made more money on the first Trans-Siberian Orchestra record than I did in my entire career with Sabotage, twice over. So, people are, oh yeah, and I argue with them. I'm like, listen, if someone offered you the same job that you're doing right now and said, I will quadruple your salary if you work with me and you leave this job, you're not going to look me in the eye and say, and you have kids and stuff to take care of, you're not going to look me in the eye and say, nope, I'm going to stay here and get paid $5 an hour instead of getting paid $25 an hour.
Sure. You're
going to do you're here to take care of your family. That's why I do what I do. Okay. And that's it. And we all love Sabotage, and geez, it's like Trans-Siberian Orchestra is basically Sabotage. It's all Dead Winter Dead and Wake of Magellan and all those records. Everyone plays on every Trans-Siberian Orchestra album. I play on every album. I sing on every album. I just don't go out and tour with them, because if I did, I couldn't do these things that I'm doing now. I wouldn't have the time. So that's it. That's the truth, the honest truth. I swear to tell. No, I don't swear, but I know all the words.
Fantastic. Well, Jon, thank you for sharing your time and talent with us.
Well, thank you.
We anxiously await the new material.
I'll get it to you first. How's that?
Thank you. And is there anything that you'd like to say to your fans and friends?
I would like to say thank you. Be safe. Take care of each other. Happy holidays. God bless you all. And thank you.
3, 2, 1. Very nice, guy.